process of elimination by the taking the best bits first, but if you want to go to full extent, you can recover a lot from this fish, but you don't always need to. But we start with the belly steak, which I don't know if you can see the indentations, the linings there. That's the ribs.
All right.
So we're trying to follow a complete circuit around the whole fish, which is right up behind the bone. We follow the bone around up near the chin. A refined technique I don't really have. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so I'll probably just sort of follow my nose. Just go just shy of the ribs. Ribs are just there. While he's there like that, just for the sake of the exercise, we'll grab the tail fillet, which is.
While you've got it like that, do you look in at the liver and the heart to see that it's a healthy fish, or?
No, I can't discern it. I just see the overall condition. You sometimes catch these and they're very poorly conditioned, and they're a darker colour, and they've only got a fraction of the weight that this one's got for the size. So I already can tell it's well-conditioned fish. And the indigenous people find this fat stuff a delicacy. And they'll do a hamstring to get to it, and they'll trample over the meat to get to that stuff and gorge themselves silly on it. They love this.
Raw?
No, they'll cook it up in a pan. But to get the other fillet, you just start off by going just the other side of the rib cage. Until you hit bone, you come down, navigate your way around the bone right at the base of the dorsal fin.
Oh, right.
And then it's a similar story to filleting any fish. You've got to try not to fillet George's fingers in the process.
Do you need some? Tom, can you hold?
No, I'm alright.
The knife, or you're
So you're just running your finger down your snot.
So you're on top of the ribs now, aren't you?
On top of the back spine, yes. So you're just trying to, same as way as you would do any other fish, but Silver Cobbler is possibly one of the few fish that have the most and the best meat coming off the belly. Which is, I think, is
so you don't scale it or anything?
No. We do skin it for sure.
Yep, but not.
Definitely skin it.
Just lean back a little bit, Tom, in case you're a bit close.
No,
As he slips with the knife and fillets you.
No scales on that fish. And then there's our bait still in there. No, it's not our bait. It's I don't know if you want to look at it, but there's a mud claw or a cherubim in there.
So you can get that and use it as bait.
I think it might be being a bit digested a bit much. I thought quite often find your bait fish in there, plus it smells horrible too. You don't particularly want to go there.
So that's what you used
today
was bait fish?
Bait fish,
yeah. We went and caught a heap first off. That was what we were saying. We were pulling them out as quick as you could throw the line in. You'd just pull the fish out, take him off, throw the line in, pull the fish out, take him off.
A mixture of striped grunter and spangled perch. The fish that we're using for bait. They just do the same down the other side. And we've got that out as a double thing there. And same thing again. Going close to the rib cage.
Stand back a little, Tom, just in case it flicks out.
Okay.
Tom, you've got to think, what happens if that knife whips out? You've got to be out of the road of it.
And bones,
These will
doing
come out
that
completely bone free.
Yep. Oh, that's great.
It's a bonus.
Not funny. For the benefit of the camera, that joke was not funny.
Okay. Now, as I said before, you're not limited to that. Depending on your situation, if you need to, if you want to, you can recover that bit there and cook that up with the bones, the ribs. You can cut that off and fry it up. Especially on a big fish, the meat's a little bit sweeter against the bone.
Oh, really? The bigger the fish?
On the bigger fish, more, I suppose more accessible, or more quantity on the bigger fish.
Yep.
You could retrieve wings out of there, and on a really big fish, you can even get a cheap fillet out of there, which is like a scallop.
Yep.
So if you wanted to, and it was a big fish, you've got those options. But mostly we stop at this one, and if we're really not desperate, we just stop at the
Belly.
belly fish. That's what I was looking for. Now there is a trick to skinning the tail fillet, which is a bit out of the ordinary. You do it in such a way to deliberately leave an amount of flesh that fin's not helping, remaining on the skin.
Mm-hmm.
So normally you'd skin flush
Right down to the...
right flush against it. Here I'm doing it in such a way to deliberately leave. And it can be a tricky one, and I'll explain why you waste or you leave some of that behind. Eliminating everything which is going to cause your fish to deteriorate in texture and flavour, and it's this, I'll cut into it, it's this bloodline, that reddish stuff. Gives it a more sort of gamey flavour and causes it to curl and become rubbery rather than nice and soft.
So you
Purposely leaving some meat on the skin.
on the skin.
So that's the way it's done.
And you're cutting from which end first, or does it not matter?
Probably easier from the tail.
Okay.
And if you've got other ways of doing these fish too. I mean, if you happen to be out camping, you could do what's called trunk the fish, where you could cut all the head structure off and chop it there, and have your belly fillet and your tail fillet and your backbone all attached, and cook it up in the coals and just throw the head and the guts away. That is an option you have if you were camping. It's just another way of doing it. Probably no attraction to that, and cooking it in a civilised way. Now the belly steaks, this is the best bit, the most concentration of meat. I still keep peeling the skin off of my hands. A lot of people would do that with a knife. I don't know why I find it appealing, and for the benefit of the viewers, that wasn't a funny joke either.
Appealing? No, that wasn't a funny joke either. No.
It was a bit skinny, that one. And you'll end up with two, and we'll end up wasting a little bit of that, or we'll do away with that little bit there too, which once again, if you needed to, you could cook that up. So just what's available and what you want to use. So this is the best with the whole fish. I don't want to discard. And tail fillets are the second best. Probably more professional doing this with a knife.
Oh, because you can feel the bread. That shows you how tough that skin is.
Oh yeah. And it's not the end of the story with this. There's another very important step here. You see that plasticky membrane stuff there? You've got to do away with that, get rid of that, because that will cause your fish to curl and give it that unpleasant rubbery texture.
Mm-hmm.
It won't cook properly. It'll probably retain a bit of that gamey taste.
Oh, right, so you do that up back.
I think on the bigger fish, you would get that little bit off there. You'd skin it anyway, but on the smaller fish it doesn't matter so much.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if your times are tough and you're keeping them half that size, you possibly wouldn't even bother getting the membrane off it. It just seems to be more prevalent.
So when you say a bigger fish, what size is a bigger fish? Because to us that's pretty...
Yeah, it's a bit of a relative term, really. Probably one about double that roughly. I'd probably take a little bit of meat with a skin and do it with a knife rather than peel it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
So really not a very high yielding fish, but a big fish, so you still easily get quite a recovery. And that's a reasonably typical size cobbler out there, and you've probably got a feed for family there.
Yeah.
So there we have it.
There we have George Tinning, how to deal with a cobbler. Onlookers,
Silver Cobbler.
Kerry Jewel. And fisherman of the day, Thomas Jewel.
Woohoo!
Oh, hang on. Cameraman. Hey.
it.